Okay, so we're back with another episode of Our Woman Full of Soul. I am Mary, and I am here with Jamila from Starwater Yoga, and she's going to talk to you about what she does every day and what it means to be a woman full of soul. So, Jamila, can you tell everyone what you do every day? What does your everyday, normal everyday looks like, or what your week looks like? Um, that's really our first question to get an insight into you and what everything really is for you on a daily basis and a weekly basis.
Cool. Hi, everybody. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you so much. Um, so what do I do every day? Well, my whole reason I think for being on the earth is to um, cultivate and celebrate beauty. And so I feel like my day is about, thank gosh for the phone, right? I'm taking pictures everywhere I go, and looking for things that speak to me that end up actually going into my designs. And I think we connected through my business, Starwater Yoga, and all of the designs on my yoga products are actually collaged from images from my daily life. So I live in Los Angeles. I take walks every day, take pictures of the flowers. I love to cook. I spend way too much time on busy work and paperwork, having two businesses, but I try to keep it grounded and stay inspired, really is why I'm here. So I can't share inspiration if I'm not cultivating that inspiration in myself. So that would be kind of the jump off.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It's the same for me. I find a lot of inspiration in the nature around me, and the designs that I make end up being from that inspiration and the feelings from that, or the emotions or things that are brought up from whatever relationship I'm in, or, those different things. What is the second business that you have?
So my second business is actually the original one. It's called 1111. And I started it feels like lifetimes ago in 2003 in New York. I was living in Brooklyn. And I actually was making handbags at the time. I went to school for textile art.
Okay.
So my background is in pattern design, and I got into making handbags there. It's Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia.
Okay.
And so I moved to New York after graduating, and I was just so um, determined and convinced that I was gonna move to New York and become an overnight sensation handbag designer. That was my
Okay.
whole projection and goal. And so I got a job waiting tables, and at night I would just make my bags, really elaborate, crazy bags. And I'll just say right off the bat that for me, it's all about the art. It's all about the
Right.
inspiration, and it's about even back then, because I think my path and my my intention was always really grand, but I didn't have a foundation back then. But it was
Right.
always about aligning to something greater and letting the really love is what it boils down to, but letting that light come through. And so for me, making handbags in New York, trying to make a business out of it, but realizing that my strength is in the art, not in the selling of it.
Right.
Um, so the 1111 business really came out of that time, because I had experimented making wallets, and the wallets were made out of, at the time I made them out of the actual magazines, and I would actually cut up the like way back when we used to print photographs on paper to see
Right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like a million years ago, but so I would make wallets out of paper, laminated paper, and I realized I could make a business out of that. So I started selling these wallets, which were much easier to sell than my really extravagant, expensive handbags.
And bags. Yeah.
So I started selling wallets, and that really quickly, organically became a business kind of before my eyes. Like I had the intention, but I didn't know how it was going to come together. So 1111 really started super grassroots. I started selling in one store that I happened to be like a shop girl, like sales girl at in Soho. And that was my first account. And then from there, it just sort of grew. I got like more big wholesale accounts and just pretended that knew what I was doing, and yeah, so I've been doing that business ever since. We're here in LA. My office is 2 doors down, and we still make wallets. So that's
awesome.
1111. Yeah, and so Starwater Yoga really came out of, in some ways, came out of my experience of, making my art into products, but the yoga became its own it had to be its own like entity. So
What got you interested in making the yoga mats? How did that transition happen, or how did that come
yeah.
about?
So, gosh, I moved to Los Angeles, I guess maybe 14 years ago. I'm losing track. It's been such a long
I
time.
know it's time to go. Yeah, I don't have, I understand.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that I lose space and time throughout my day, let alone a year.
No, totally. Now more than ever. So I moved to Los Angeles and never expected to be here more than a year. I was like, I came to be with a boyfriend, a college boyfriend. We got back together. I moved out to LA to be with him. And I was like thinking, oh yeah, I'll like move up to San Francisco or somewhere in nature. Like I was definitely not thinking I'd still be here. But so when I moved to LA, I really like realized something about myself, like that I was getting lots of anxiety and lots of kind of fear of being around people, to be honest.
Why?
And
Why do you think that was happening?
Well,
I'm
actually,
asking because it's really interesting. You're going from New York where you would think you would, I mean, you're super social here in New York because New York is social, but there's still like, you're annoyed with people sometimes, and you're like, leave me alone. Just no,
Yeah. I think,
But then you go to LA, and then my perception of LA is, because I know different people have been there, is it's a little bit more open than New York and a little bit more free flowing. You have,
totally. Yeah, no, it really is. I think for me, it was just where I was at in my life and where I was in my own personal journey. Like, when I was starting as a teenager, I got into alcohol and drugs. And I naturally kind of snapped out of it towards the end of college.
Yeah.
But I still was drinking, and now looking back, I can see what was going on with me, but at the time I had no idea. I really feel like a lot of us are very, very sensitive. And when you abuse drugs and alcohol, you can get like holes in your auric field and become really sensitive, so that normal life becomes kind of unbearable. And so in New York, I wasn't crazy, because I actually realized that if I kept behaving like that there was no safety net, like it could be really bad. And so I wasn't like, I was like, like a crazy party person when I lived in New York. But when I moved to LA, I think something was shifting in me where I really I was seeing something that I wasn't seeing before about myself. I could like tell that I was in the past maybe using like alcohol to, numb out something that was super, super vulnerable. And so when I came to LA, it became really clear to me that like, this was like, I don't know, like I wasn't recognizing myself. So all that to say is that I started becoming interested in yoga because I think my intuition knew that it could help me, but I didn't really understand what that was or anything. So I actually did like yoga DVDs in my living room, because the thought of going to a yoga class even was like, like terrifying, to be honest, just
Well,
to like,
so in any yoga class or fitness, anything, you're hyper aware, and I mean hyper aware of what
yeah.
your body looks like to other people,
Oh, yeah.
depending on what you're wearing, you're questioning what you're wearing to whatever it is. You're questioning what your body looks like, and you're literally there to work on your body, but you're still
Oh, yeah.
questioning what that is and then comparing it to everybody else.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also just like the sensitivity of feeling like you're exposing yourself by just being in a room
you
with other
are.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you're used to spending your time alone or in
Oh, yeah.
solitude
Which I
or
still am. I
hiding.
mean, to be honest, like it's still something I see inside myself where like I'd much rather not be seen and just be in my little space. You know what I mean? So I have to like kind of force myself to be a little uncomfortable because that connection, once you do step out of your your little bubble is beautiful. And like I stated at the beginning, I know like my purpose on earth is to be inspired and share inspiration, and I can't really fulfill that if I'm hiding all the time.
Right.
So going back just to answer your question, that's how I got into yoga, and the yoga really transformed my life. And that's how I got into making yoga mats, because it became a kind of a way to merge my passion for collage art and imagery and with my love for the yoga practice and wanting to provide something that can inspire other people in their yoga practice. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So not related to yoga, but I'm going to go back to the yoga in a minute. Would you say that you're an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, introvert for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were introvert here when you were in New York? Or did you feel extrovert?
Yeah, I think I've always been an introvert my whole life, but I think in New York it was, I think, a more free time. Yeah, I felt like I had a nice like core group of friends that we had all moved up from school together. So I felt like I had a little community, and so it wasn't like I felt like, all alone in a big city. And in my early 20s, I was definitely a kind of a more free time, social time. Yeah.
I want to share your yoga mats, but I'm having a problem getting this screen like I was a few minutes ago. There they are. I couldn't find the commands to share screen. So,
Okay, no worries. No worries.
I'm going to try to share the screen. Let me just get on your actual page here instead of my other. I have the one that I want everybody to like really see and talk about, but I want to show everyone the one that I have so that they get a feeling and an understanding more of what you're talking about. So
Okay, great.
I
Yeah.
have that one up. Let me get this part of the recording is going to be awkward, but it's okay.
No problem.
Let me get this share screen up. Here it is. Can you see it on your end?
I see in something that says screen sharing, but I don't see an image yet.
Really?
Oh, now I do. Yep, you got
You
it.
see your mat now?
Yep. Yes.
No?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the yoga mat that I have from you, and it's green prana mandala yoga mat. And so I do yoga and I know about yoga. And I know about the insights of yoga and all of that, but I'm a devout practicing Catholic.
Yes.
And I'm saying that because some of the followers that are going to see this are going to know, but others are not. And what I really love about this mat, which I had to look through all your meanings and everything, but what I really love about it is that it draws you back into nature. That was the first thing. So when I first received this mat as a gift, someone who had taught yoga here in the city was leaving and went back to her home country. And she gave this to me before she left. And we were literally going into lockdown when I got this.
Wow.
So I couldn't really go outside. I mean, I was stuck here in Manhattan. I couldn't go outside. I'm literally in a very small, tiny space, which I'm usually used to being in a very big space.
Yeah.
So I'm like confined to like a really small space that I've never been in before, through all the years of my life, I will say that. And that kind of threw me during the pandemic. And then the pandemic also threw me, and given the work that I do and all that I help with, I was kind of really thrown out of my element. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And when I was really confined, I was like, this is worst case scenario wretched of every possible wretchedness there could possibly be. Because if I can't even go outside when I'm stuck in a tiny space, that it's going to be very bad. Right.
Yeah.
This kept me grounded until I could go back outside.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you.
Oh my God.
This was the one, and I have plants in my room, which is fine, but this, like, so most people that know me and know my journey through the pandemic know that I have two children who live in a different location than I do. And I usually commute to them, or they would usually be with me here in the city. Right. I was stuck, and they're my besties. I swear to God, they are. They are my go-tos. And I was stuck without them for 5 weeks. I was stuck without being able to go outside. I had to help leaders work through the pandemic and get aid here to Manhattan while I was stuck in this space. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And even the friend that gave me this, she was leaving to go back to her home country before that home country went into lockdown, because we were going into lockdown. And she was like, I need to get out in case something happens. I need to go back home.
Yeah.
So she left, and she couldn't, I don't know if she would take this with her. I think she probably would have. I don't know, because she's very much about abundance. So she thought it would just be returned to her. Whatever. But she left this to me, and with some other yoga mats that are really thick, and they're green also. But this was literally a lifesaver for me.
Wow.
I can't even explain how, one, with the discipline of yoga and being like, you have to recenter, you have to reground yourself. That alone really helped me to be able to get grounded in myself before I could give out whatever was coming into me from God, in my case, Christ,
Yes.
to give back to all the other people while I was stuck here and everybody else was stuck.
Yes.
But then also to be refilled in nature and to still be grounded in that really holistic space and place that I needed to be.
I love that.
So, and I'm saying that because of the design, number one, the design is one of the things, but also your descriptions. Like, your descriptions of the design are so beautiful, and it totally helps me to understand why I became so regrounded.
Oh,
When
yeah.
everything was so chaotic, and so, because I was like, how is this actually working for me? I know it's working, but how? My question was how.
All that. Yes.
And it was after I started doing the yoga, and I was able to go back outside again. There was a point where I was like, if I don't, so I'm also a runner. I run marathons, right?
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
And I was, again, I felt so trapped during the pandemic, during the beginning parts of the pandemic. At some point, I was like, I am running. I do not care what anybody says. This is what I'm doing. And everybody knows it. Like, even the people that I helped put things into in place and in practice to help solve the pandemic, they know that I went and I ran. And I was like, this is my saving grace. If I do not run, you all are screwed. That's pretty much what I said. I was like, if I don't do yoga and I don't run, you're screwed. I need to be running out in nature. And I don't mean like run, Manhattan, New York. I don't mean running by the buildings. I mean running in Central Park, right?
Totally.
This was like my Central Park stuck in my apartment. Your mat was my Central Park stuck in the apartment.
Oh my gosh. I'm so
I was like, this is what it is. Like, this is it. This is one reason why I reached out to you, because your mats are so beautiful and speak to truth on so many levels that I just had to reach out. So even though your mats are very yogi minded and focused, your yogi mats, like you were saying in the beginning, really focus on any faith tradition.
Absolutely.
So even in the Catholic faith, you see, like in Catholic social teaching, we're about the environment. So you see the trees symbolize physical and spiritual nourishment, transformation, and liberation, right? Which totally helped because I ended up running in Central Park after I used the yoga mat. So we're good.
I love it.
But you see what I like, even the avocados. I love avocados. Like, and I didn't know this before I was gifted the mat. Like I knew I loved avocados. I didn't know this was a symbol on your mat, right? There are just so many elements of it that speak to a higher truth, like the purity and new beginnings. The whole pandemic, although it's led to, gone through this horrible phase of decay and death, there's also been new beginnings throughout the pandemic, right? And we're coming to a new way of being and existing, and had to really turn inwards to figure ourselves out in the path forward.
Yes.
So it's all right there in your mat. I'm like, it's just all there, so I really wanted to share with people what this looks like. The next piece that speaks to your other truth is that once I started running in Central Park, that's when I started my own fine art collection of nature.
Awesome.
And started putting it up for sale.
Awesome.
So just like you and recognizing nature and the beauty of nature, I did that same thing, even though I don't know when you went to California and when you had your changes in transition, but I know during this time, this is what I did. And part of your mat kept me grounded in that beauty and in that truth.
Wow.
And I don't know if I would have been grounded in that as much if your mat wasn't present. I have to say that. So,
wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then to share more with everyone, like one of the reasons why I reached out to Jamila, and she knows, Jamila knows this, is because her mat gave me inspiration to think about creating our mats with our artwork. Our artwork is not as elaborate as this. It's literally just nature photography. But there was some point where I was like, if I'm going to sell my photography, I want it to go on a canvas. Yes, but I really want Manhattan to experience, and all the other places to experience it on the yoga mat. And to have something beautiful, with them, something nature and beautiful with them.
Yes.
So that it really inspired me.
Awesome.
I can't even explain how much. I've even done ballet on this mat. Like I was telling you before, it's a really thin mat. I've done ballet on it since I'm on like a carpeted surface where I'm laying the mat. Sometimes it shifts just a little bit, but not that much. I can usually do a lot of my ballet exercises, warm-ups on the mat. It's perfect for it. So I would encourage anybody to get your mats. Forget my mat. Like my mats will come out eventually. They're not out right now. If somebody needs a mat right now, they should definitely go for yours.
Thank you.
And it's just exquisite. It's just an exquisite piece of artwork. So even if people see it as a higher price, which I don't see it as that, but if other people do, it's worth the cost and the price. That's the other thing. Like it's just beautiful. It's a piece of artwork in itself, which just inspires you. It really does. So like the person that's doing I'm sure it inspires you because you made it, but the person who's doing the workout really, I mean, even look at, you even put basil symbolizes love and prosperity, wisdom and immortality. Like these are all things that I needed to be grounded in the beginning of the pandemic. And even now, it's just, are you trying not to cry? I can't tell because you're minimized.
No, thank you so much. I mean, truly, like what you're saying is a fulfillment of my intention, my absolute deepest intention for these designs. So for you to say that is just an incredible affirmation for me. So I really appreciate it very much.
It's beautiful. And so the other thing is I want to take them to, and I'll get to my other questions, but I really do want to take them to your other mat that I was on earlier, which is I think it's labeled the goddess one.
Yeah,
Divine
Divine
Mother,
Mother.
Divine Mother, but it has a goddess link, and it is literally Our Lady of Guadalupe on the top. So I really want to share this with everyone also. Can you tell us the inspiration behind this for you? What caused you to create this? How were you inspired to actually create any of the elements in this?
Yeah. So I've always had a special place in my heart for, well, the Divine Mother in general in all her forms. But the Our Lady of Guadalupe, I don't know what it is exactly about her, but it's just, it like speaks so deeply to my heart. And so this design was created as a basically as a devotional tool to that energy. And all the roses are really, I think, I think and speak in terms of vibration.
Uh-huh.
And so roses are actually, I think, scientifically documented to have like the highest vibration of any flower. And
Okay.
um and so there's something about the energy of the rose and the energy of the Divine Mother consciousness that is the same to me. So I just set out to make a mat that when I look at it, I feel that energy of devotion and love in my heart. Because if I can create that feeling in me, by looking at the art, that I feel like there's a chance that other people can have that same experience just by looking. And part of the reason why I work with imagery, I think it's just I can't help it. I think it's just the way I was made, but just intellectually, imagery actually works. There's a science that says the imagery hits it's 60,000 times faster than reading something. That's why the saying, image is worth 1,000 words, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Uh-huh.
There's power, there's deep power in symbolism. And so our brains and our beings are wired to process imagery way, way faster. And so that's why I feel like a calling, or like my whole mission, to use imagery to point the mind and the heart in a positive direction. So that's really what this design is about. And even on the bottom, those like geometrical looking design that's actually all flowers.
Right.
So even the lines is aerial views of flowers, and using the geometry of the mandala to further kind of um, put that the energy of love really is what it's about for me. So yeah, so that's the story.
You use the mandala in all of your mats?
Not all of them. It's a one of my favorite kind of forms, design forms to use, because mandalas are so meditative, really. It's a meditative tool. So yeah, so I just love working with mandalas.
Yeah, I'm going to speak just for a moment about mandalas. So the first time I was exposed to mandalas, which is surprising to me, even like having this conversation, um, the first time I was exposed to them was through a Benedictine nun
Wow.
who gave myself and my children a book of mandalas to color in. And it was mandalas focused on African culture.
Cool.
And I'm saying I'm surprised by that one because it was a Benedictine nun, and you wouldn't know that Benedictine nuns would know about African mandalas. But at the same time, so I had studied at Boston College, and I studied theology and different orders and different how like spirituality is expressed in different faith areas, but then also in the Catholic faith in different countries.
Awesome.
And I was friends with many people from African countries, or like, from Africa. And not one of them said anything about the mandala. Not one of
Interesting.
them. But
Interesting.
this Benedictine nun who was here in the States knew all about African mandalas. And
I
this
love
book,
that.
it was hilarious. So it's amazing. It is just amazing. I want to say it's amazing what God can do and how God can use different cultures and different religious traditions or different traditions to influence others, other traditions, and then also people in their faith journey and in their faith walk. Like, it's just amazing to me.
Totally.
It's just amazing. So as I've come to know more about yoga, I recognize that mandalas are present, or as I come to understand the Buddhist faith more or other faith traditions, I recognize where the mandala is present and used, but that wasn't my original knowledge of it. The rose is everything you said, totally right on. Everything I know about roses speaks to that also. There's so much symbolism behind roses. I love that you include all different colors of roses up here. You haven't stereotyped Our Lady of Guadalupe or any form of divine motherhood to one specific meaning of a rose. There's so many colors, which symbolize so many different emotions and feelings. And I want to say sentiments, but they're not just sentiments. They're really grounded, truthful things that God really wants us to have, or universe really wants us to experience and have and gain from. This is one reason why I love this mat, because it really speaks to all of that. So I'm just going to go down a little bit, if I can somehow, on my screen here and show everybody, if it's possible, with the screen thing that I have. Not that, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll give you a minute. I wanted to show them what everything symbolizes, because right now, if they're Catholic and they're looking and they're like, oh yeah, Our Lady of Guadalupe is on here and so are roses, but what is all this other stuff and what does it mean? And am I going down a weird path if I use this yoga mat? You know, some people are like this. Other people would know maybe what some of this is. I don't know. So I just want to share with some people what it really is. So
I think if you just hover over, yeah.
So Our Lady of Guadalupe is a manifestation of the Virgin Mary, whose symbolism deeply touches many facets of the Mexican history and faith, as well as much more. Her energy is universal and represents Divine Mother and primal power. Can you talk to us about Adi Shakti?
Adi Shakti,
yeah.
So that's a word that you'll find in specifically the Sikh tradition, which is it's sort of interrelated with the Kundalini Yoga path, which is what I am. And so Adi Shakti just means the primal mother force, so power force. So Adi just means first, Shakti means a feminine power. Okay. So it's really just it's just another word for the universal concept, truth, energy, force that is the Divine Mother power.
Okay. Yeah. And then there's hummingbirds. Joy, infinite energy, and stamina. Beautiful, especially right now coming into spring. That's one reason why I really love sharing this. The inner space is outer space. There's no end to the consciousness found within. Would you say that that is similar to the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, or would you say that that's something else? I know I'm throwing you like these major curveballs. I wouldn't throw other people.
I love it. I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. I never put it in that specific, context, but yes, I mean, it's just, I think even like quantum physics is talking about how, the space between the atoms and our connection and our consciousness inside ourselves is really just connecting to the universal energy. So you get to a space that's beyond words when you start talking about this stuff. So it just to put it into words, you kind of like distort it.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I love symbolism, because it can hit some deeper part of you that is a knowing part of you.
Right.
So it's beyond just the kind of in our Western culture, we're so like
Mind.
in our minds, we want
Yeah.
to intellectualize everything. And so, but there's just so much more to the human experience if we want it, if we allow it. So
Yeah. And so on the same symbol, I'm just going to jump over so people can see there's the circle symbolizes timelessness, original perfection, and wholeness. It also symbolizes unity, which is, I think, just perfect for that. The mandalas are meditation tools. They are unifying geometric constructs. In case people don't know, I want to explain that they help guide the awareness of our true nature. And like you had said, they're flower fields represented, like real things. They're not just,
yes.
I don't want people, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
want them to see like the depth of your artwork, because you can't, like, you can see it here, you can kind of see it, but it's even more beautiful in person when the mat is like literally in front of you. It's
Thank
just beautiful.
you. Thank you.
So the flower fields symbolize abundance, joy, and the cycle of life. Like right now, we all need this. This is a focus we all need right now. This isn't just something for when you feel like rolling out your yoga mat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
totally like right now, this is what the moment is calling for. We're even moving into Mother's Day. Like what
Yes,
there could
yes.
be a perfect mat. And I'm saying that as someone who doesn't have mats made yet. So even in that case, we may end up collaborating at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
right.
I don't know. So yeah, I just think it's perfect. Like there's so many perfect elements to it. So the roses, I didn't know before reading this, I didn't know the rose was a symbol of a goddess. I always saw the rose as a symbol of Our Lady.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm Catholic, I see it like I see Our Lady as Our Lady, but I don't see her as equivalent to God. So I wouldn't call her a goddess, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Yes.
in other cultures, they do see Our Lady, or, the manifestation of images of Our Lady as that. So this was very interesting for me to see that the rose is also a symbol of that, because I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that it unites.
Yes.
Unites. Like there's no matter what energy is around you, no matter what energy is coming into you, no matter what energy is going out of you, no matter what energy is trying to permeate you, or some force is coming towards you that you can't
Mm-hmm.
foresee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is this uniting as one symbol, which is the rose. Um, it's just beautiful. And like you said, the heaven and the earth contained within the energy of a rose. It's just beautiful. So, and even like this explanation of the meaning, like every color has a different meaning. Every color. And so every color you've represented and shown on this map, or given a literal depiction of, draws the people into what that is
Yeah.
and really what they need. I think that's the other piece too. This isn't just about a yoga mat that I'm not going to say a yoga mat. It's not just about a piece of artwork, because that's what it is. It's a piece of artwork. When I saw it, to me, it was a piece of artwork. It's not just a piece of artwork that has like these different elements or these different pieces. It has so much meaning and so much depth and so much beauty and extra life
Thank you.
that it's asking you to receive. There's this piece where we can look at a piece of art, and you have art all behind you, what I'm talking about. There, where you can go and view the art and you see the art and you can take it in, right? And you can even give to the art, maybe, right? We know we can give in different ways to the art. or we can leave our feelings there. Like something will draw us and we'll be like, some of us even cry in front of art, right? And we leave whatever the feelings are. But your pieces really draw us in to receive from the art what we are lacking.
Thank you.
That's the other piece here. And I haven't seen a lot of artwork like that. I've seen a lot of artwork. I wouldn't say that every piece of artwork I've seen has asked me to receive something from it, or has been trying to give me something. Receive, yes, but it could be receive these feelings of remorse, of sorrow, of regret, right? In this case, it's nothing like that. These are the energy forces that you need to be able to receive right now, to replenish you, to rejuvenate, to be who you are called to be for the rest of the world. So in that way, it's beautiful. There's just no way around it. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
I wanted to make sure I shared that with everybody. I'm going to go back to our regular screen because I don't think that they can see us unless I take us off of stop share. I don't really know.
All right, there we go.
But we'll see later what this looks like. You're the first screen share I've done when I've done my my interviews, but your artwork is just so deep that I wanted people to really, they can see what's behind you, but in your yoga mats, it's so deep that they really need to be able to take it in. And maybe before I took it off of screen share, I should have shown them, the yoga pillows and the other things, because I didn't even know some of the things that you had on your site, I didn't even know that they existed. Like yoga pillows, I knew nothing about. I knew about certain things, but I was like, man, and the way that it's put together, I'm just like, well, how did she do that artwork like that?
Thank
you. It's a piece of art in itself and artwork in itself. And so I really have appreciation for that and value for that, because it takes you to a different dimension to be able to receive what you need to receive. I think that's the other piece.
Thank you so much. Thank you for seeing, so clearly what I'm trying to do with this work. I feel like, you can put it out in the world, but it's not until people reflect back to you that that you've, accomplished what you set out to do. So thank you.
With me, you definitely accomplished it.
Yes, I'm very grateful to hear.
Yeah, and hardly anybody knows. I don't even think the friend that gave me that mat knows the depth to that mat has touched my life, or how it's gotten me through, because I also talked to her most of the, almost, a lot through the beginning of the pandemic. And she knew that I was doing yoga. And when it sounded like I wasn't doing enough yoga, she was like, go do more yoga because you're too in your mind. But there was I literally help leaders solve the pandemic. So I'm like, I have to be in my mind to come up with answers. I can't just be not in my mind.
Right. Totally.
But I would say in some ways your yoga mat was literally a lifesaver for me, because I probably would have went out of my mind if I didn't have it. And especially when I was stuck inside, but also given everything I had to do, I needed the energy from the mat. I needed the energy from the mat. There was and whatever that was symbolizing, I needed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I needed to be grounded in that truth. And there was no other way. There just wasn't. And I mean that because to be able to give advice to people on how to solve a pandemic, you have to be super, super grounded.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And not freak out. And if you are going to freak out, you need to not talk to them. like it's very, so that it was really, I needed to be refilled, and I was stuck by myself, besides their energy, which most of it was panic. Some of it was, and it was solution minded in some ways, but there was a lot of anxiety and everything.
Yeah, no,
super. Really step away from that and to be like, this is my time. This is my space. This is what I need to do for myself and for everybody else,
Yeah.
your yoga mats made that happen. My regular green mat, no way. No way. There's no
Oh, that's
way.
amazing to hear.
I'm like, there's no, no, no. There's, I
Well, I'm
needed the
so
artwork.
glad. I'm so
So
glad you could find your sacred space in
yeah.
the mat. Thank you.
So I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. not just for your sake or
I
I
appreciate
want
it
them to
though.
realize like how much artwork can really touch them, or how much doing a specific practice can touch them in a beautiful and positive way, and how they can actually step out of their boxes and not be so confined also. So like there are some Catholics who do yoga, or Christians that do yoga. There are other Christians who are like, no, you can't do this. This is too crazy. I'm not like that at all. So I want them to see there are really deep benefits, and different faith traditions are lendable to each area.
Yep.
All right. So my next question, I have no idea what your answer is going to be to this. How has your life changed during COVID? What has been most difficult for you during COVID? And what are 3 positive changes that have occurred for you?
Well, that's a great question.
And I can break it down if you need me to.
Yeah.
I can just like take it back.
Well, so I have in my yoga and meditation path over the last 12 years. One of the things I've been given the most connection to is to be able to go to the neutral space, which is the heart space, but it's a neutral space, and then see the negative, see the positive, and then decide what current I'm riding on.
Okay.
And what I'm gonna focus my mind on. And so this time is very unusual time we've all been experiencing. I don't know, I can't really take like total credit for this at all, because I think it's just grace at the end of the day. But I've been so blessed in this time, and there's been so many blessings, and I've chosen to focus on the blessings, and so therefore that's all I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, our businesses have gone through ups and downs, big time over the last year. But I'm so grateful we've been able to hold on in this time where so many have lost their businesses. It's kind of like mind blowing to me, because like I mentioned earlier, like business is not like my forte. I've had to kind of learn everything the hard way. And so we've been staying in business, and I'm usually like I was saying earlier, also like I'm an introvert. I like to spend time at home. So being in quarantine really has been lovely. I can't say that I've been having a problem with
You're
that.
like, I love it. I'm excited about this.
It's like a free, get out of jail card for all kinds of social engagements that you don't have to participate in anymore. So that's been great, and no problem there. So yeah, and connecting with people through the Zoom, and all the ways we connect online, and through I just think of it like we're connecting through this etheric energy, like through screens, of course, but I feel like we're connecting energetically more than ever. And so I think that's another positive thing, because whereas we had that technology before, but now it's become so much more part of the culture to easily just jump on a Zoom and have a meeting connection. Like that is, just like the way we do it now. And it makes it so you can connect people that you wouldn't necessarily be connecting to, and just make it like super easy, drop of a hat. So that's another great thing that I see in my life and just in general. And then what else? I don't know. I think things that we may have taken for granted before, we're not taking for granted anymore. And I think that's a huge, huge blessing. The chance to kind of see the value in human connection and our friends and family and just the simple blessings of life, to really see them for what they are and to appreciate, everything that we have. So yeah, that would be my kind of experience and my outlook on this. I just feel very blessed.
Do you feel that you were more creative? Did you create more artwork, more pieces,
Um,
or no? Were you like at a
I am getting back into a really creative mode right now. Over the last year, I worked on some other projects that were very creative in their own way, but weren't my collage art and what I consider to be like my main form of creativity.
okay?
But I'm just now kind of getting into a new creative stream. And, for me, it's like a discovery process every single time. It's almost like everything I've created up till now doesn't even exist, because it's about like, I don't know what's next, what
Right.
wants to come through. And so what I've been kind of feeling a lot lately is like that concept of beginner's mind, where I feel like, so maybe I may be practicing and teaching yoga for 12 years or whatever, but I just feel like a beginner, and I feel like a beginner with art too. So I'm here to like find what I'm here to show up to discover what I'm supposed to discover. So I'm in a process of total discovery right now of what's
Okay.
next. So
You think it's discovery and not newness, or both?
yeah, I think it's both. Absolutely. And collage art is an interesting kind of form, because it's about taking what already exists and reimagining it and creating new landscapes and connecting to kind of like energies that are existing, but how do you combine the imagery so it like opens up a space of,
Right.
really, it's about love and all the different forms of love. That's like what I'm about. So yeah, so it's a total adventure discovery process. And like if have to keep up my practice so that I can have the drive and the faith to know that whatever is supposed to come through is going to come through, because like I have a pretty strong negative mind, and I can totally get into this thing where like, oh, it's over, you're never going to create another beautiful thing. Like you're done, like good luck, like
You're never
so
done.
it's like, thank
No,
God for the yoga and the
you're never
meditation.
done. You're never,
But
I
you
can
know
tell
what I
as an
mean?
artist, you are never done. Every day is new. Every
Yeah,
day is new as an artist,
yeah,
because you
totally.
can take anything that you created before and make it something different,
Mhm.
or you can market it in a new way, or you're just
Totally,
called to create something new. You're
totally,
called to
yeah.
create something new. What I think is coming from the energy right now is discovery and creating something new.
Mhm.
Because of the change in seasons, I think that has to happen for most artists. Like there's no way of, like, you can't shut yourself out of that, because God's will is way too far advanced for that. God's like, oh,
Right.
hell no, I made you an artist.
Yeah, no,
And I'm changing the
absolutely.
seasons on you, and I'm changing this and I'm changing that, and you will
Yeah.
create, because that's who I made you to be. You
Yeah,
know?
and it's springtime too. Like it's such a creative time for the earth, like the
Yeah.
flowers, endlessly inspiring to me. Like if I could make flower collages alone for the rest of my life and be happy, like I just love flowers. So yeah, it's really that simple. It's about appreciation. That's what the collage is a lot for me, is about appreciation of just what I come across in my daily life, you know? So it's endless.
Yeah, but you have spoken to the truths of the pandemic too. It's hard when you're isolated from other people. Like it's good in some ways if you are an introvert, but
Mhm.
it's also hard because you need to still have that inspiration. You
Oh,
need to still
totally.
have that energy coming into you in some form
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
to actually be creating and then reaching back out,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, to other people to bring it to them.
Yeah,
That's the other.
totally. Totally.